Good morning, everybody. Just getting everything online. There we go. Do a bit of calibration. Okay, there we go. Out of Aussie mode and into everybody else. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I'm Phil. I am the Down Under Maker. Welcome to my slightly scruffy workshop today. I had a lot of crazy stuff going on over the last few days. My V2 is not currently working. I've had some software patches installed for a beta I'm doing for a company, and it broke things. So no homing, no nothing. It's been fun. And next thing that came along was I realized I'd missed printing some parts, and my V0 was offline. Yay! So what that means is I had to scramble and get all the CAN bus stuff rebuilt and the tool head board remounted on the back of the stepper motor, and that's all finally back and running. I'd like to welcome aboard my new subscribers. We've got Jack and Andrew. Welcome. Hopefully you're in the stream right now. If you're not, well, you're missing out. So today, what we're planning to do is we're planning to go back to the spooler drives and the respooler drives, and to do also work on the extruders that pump the filament out to the machine. Now, last week we left off with me having some issues actually fitting some of the parts, and I put everything on pause and we finished up slightly early just to make sure that everybody didn't get too bored with me. I'm basically ready to go. Is there anybody in chat who's got any questions or anything like that? Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't look like there's anybody around at this point in time, so I'm probably chatting to myself and people are going to catch this as a VOD. One thing I am considering is while Canuck Creator, Taylor, is away, is I might stream during his Wednesday spots, so Tuesday spots, which is Wednesday my time, early in the hours of Wednesday. Not planning on stealing his spots, just if there's a vacuum there, somebody may as well fill it. And if things come together, I will post the links to the stream as early as I can. So let's start. Moving across to my browser. Wrong one, that one. It's not working. Okay, let's try another browser. Close, leave. Will it work or not? There we go. It's loading, I think. Sorry, guys. It's jumping and doing strange things. Let's bring that back there. And new tab to the right. This is not working. Move tab to new window. Will OBS pick this up? No, that's not working. I was trying to bring up the instruction manual, but it appears to be all broken again. Let me close a few browser things and see if I can fix that. Actually, here. I'm going to use the built-in browser for OBS and see if that will work. How do you type into that? That's weird. Okay, that's not working for me either. Let's go back to that view for a moment. That one. Okay. Well, I kind of know what I'm doing for the first part anyway, so we can skip ahead. I've got 3 axles, hopefully. I've got 6 bearings. And I've got a few of these idler gears. I've got 1, 2, 3, there we go. So What we need to do first of all is we need to very gently grease the bearings. And after the mess I made last week, I did a bit of thinking about what I was doing, and I did a bit of practice on something else I was building, and I worked out that this is probably the safest way to deal with it. What I'm doing is I'm putting the grease in from the toothed side, not the filament side. The filament side is between my fingers. That way I'm doing my best to keep the grease away from anywhere that's going to touch the filament. Pop the two bearings in, finger against the end to make sure they don't pop out again, and then the shaft goes inside. And I found after a little bit of practice that just simply the bearings rotating with the idler will actually propagate the grease more than enough to achieve lubrication on the shaft as well. Bearing, bearing, and shaft. Now what I'm using to scrape the grease in with is one of those disposable screwdrivers that comes with lots of cheap AliExpress electronics that you use for the battery doors and things like that. So there we go. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the United Kingdom and a TV show which was cancelled a little while back, but was a stalwart of British television for about 50 years, Blue Peter, here's some I prepared earlier. I've already pressed the shaft into its spot on the part and tested it. And I've also quickly tested the meshing while holding it in place. What I found was that Steve's favorite tool, the Nipex, actually worked really well. Now I don't have Nipex, I've just got the knockoff, but they work just as well for what we're doing here. So placing that more or less into spot, press by hand, and a tiny squeeze just to get it past the lip. Sorry if that was a bit loud for you guys. Lining it all up, making sure I've got this the right way around. Pop, pop, and the shaft's all the way in. Please somebody say something so that I know I'm not here on my own. If I am, so be it, but that's all good. And please do, if you're chatting with people, tell them about my channel so that more people can come and play and join in with us. I pressed that one in the wrong way around, I think. Let me just check. No. That one's the right way. I did the other three the wrong. That's all right. Quickly flip it over. And I press in much easier this time. One, two. And if I was doing this on my own, this would have just gone in with no problems and I wouldn't be struggling. But because you guys are potentially watching, there we go. Last one. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Brent. Hi, ADJ. I'm not alone. WA today is very, very humid. It is currently 24 degrees outside and 95% humidity. It's pretty disgusting. It's sweaty and it's horrible. Ew. So, where are we at? We've got this all built. Now, I'm terribly sorry that I can't bring up the manual on the screen for the moment because OBS is playing up. But I'm currently on the Armored Turtle Box Turtle page, and I'm just bringing up the manual for my own reference so that I can make sure I don't put the wrong screw lengths and stuff in. Manual, there we go. Just for giggles. Let's see if it'll load now. I've got another tab open. Nope, still won't load. That's okay. Let's see if we can add one, shall we? What I'm doing quickly is trying to add another source. No, it's taking too long. I'll worry about that in a minute if we get a gap. Let's go back to hands plus me. There we go. So, these parts. Manual is here on my screen. Okay, we're up to page 11 or 12, I think, from memory, which probably means we're going to need the tensioners and we're going to need the screws to put it together. M3 by 30s. I can't find my bag with the M3 plus by 30s. Maybe I've restacked it with something else. Now, worst comes to worst, I've got stacks of them in my parts bins, but I'm just trying to use all the hardware they supplied. What are these? Flathead cap screws, they're the blades. M316s, so I'm on the right track. M330s, found them. Sorry about that, guys. So let's double check this against the manual. Idler's in the right way around. Screw goes in from the side. Are you studying your Quattro box? Don't remember an awful lot about it. Just and Andrew, yeah, we're all over the place weather-wise. 2 weeks ago, it was 118 degrees Fahrenheit here. And now we've moved into a pre-winter cycle, and it's just humid and nasty. Sorry, I was off camera a little bit there. If you're having trouble with things going melty, probably polycarbonate's your best bet. I've had quite a lot of success with the Polymaker. That was my win from the Modbot stream about 18 months ago. Actually, no, it wasn't. No, I paid for that one. Back when you could actually get Polymaker here easily and not at an exorbitant price. I've told a few guys already that are stream regulars that here in Australia, because we're so isolated, we have a lot of our own suppliers that you guys probably don't hear of from one month to the next. Some of you may know Dremk from the Boron Design Discord. And we've also got a guy called Sediment out of Sydney. Both of them are producing stuff that's at least equal quality. Not necessarily as big of a color range, but that's not the end of the world. Now it looks like I'm going to have to adjust my camera angles. That's 2. Now I know Steve's already done the arm. Would anybody be interested in me doing one? Or should I save that for an off-stream exercise? Brent, I've never had any problems printing with polycarbonate in my V2. I would recommend a little bit of bed adhesive, partially because it's difficult to get it off again, in my experience. I normally use a very high textured PEI. Some of you know that I'm a sorry guys, keep dropping things. Some of you guys know that I'm a teacher, and I was teaching yesterday, had a bunch of CAD classes, which was fun. I haven't taught CAD in probably 2 years. So refreshing myself on some of the those classic exercises that every CAD teacher in the world, or every technical drawing teacher in the world ever used. It was different, especially with some of the minor changes that have come in Fusion. And we had to come up with some very innovative ways of solving the problems, because short of going onto YouTube and following a guide on how to complete the task, we just had to make it up for ourselves, because I was just not familiar enough with some of these really advanced shapes. One kid came up with doing his curves via tangents. So he had to link to the tangents of 2 circles. And another managed to work out a way of using fillets to achieve his end goal. Both end results were exactly what the book was calling for. It was just different ways of getting there. It was really quite good, because we then showed the class these 2 different ways of doing it. And everybody learned something. So, flathead cap screws are for later somewhere. Get rid of those. So, where we're up to now is there. Quickly going back to the manual for myself to see what's going on. Now on page 12, and it's just insert the tensions into which hole? The center hole. I think the top of the thread on that may not have been very good, but it's gone in. Now I'm only just starting these to the point where the washer is ever so slightly compressed. So here they come assembled with the thumb screw, the spring, and the little plastic washer, which is bound by the end of the thread. So I'm only just doing it to the point where the washer is pressed against the spring. No, that's not quite right. There we go, that one's in. And number 4. Grab my filament. That's a little tight. There we go. That may need a little bearing. Oh, little some of these may need a little bedding in, I think. A little off-string persuasion, but the filament path's open. You may not be able to see that way. No, probably not. Not without going out of focus anyway. Probably doesn't help. I've got a big bulge on the end of this filament. There we go. Much easier. So, for those following at home, moving on to page 13, setting the anti-squish. So basically what I'm seeing here, for those who don't have access directly to the manual, is next to the spring shaft, there's a spot where you can reach through with an Allen key to put a little backward tension on the arm, which might solve some of the stiffness. That's already feeling nicer. A little bit more. That's a little bit too much. That's good. Now, I know that we could be following the Dr. Dave video right now, but I'm pretty sure most of you have seen it on at least one other stream prior to this one, so I'm just going to do this by feel. In the last 2 months, I've built 8 stealth burners, so I'm pretty confident I know where the tension should be within reason. Perfect. So, moving on now to page 14, and we're attaching motors. Now the kit comes with 4 pancake motors in the pack. They are the 36 STH 20s. And these are the ones with the secured wires, not the unpluggable ones. I have to admit, I've been using some different motors of late instead of the LDO because they've been expensive and hard to get here. And having the ability to unplug the wire has been a little bit of a rethink in terms of what I prefer. M3 by 8 times 2 according to the manual. And we're going to need this for 4, so I'm going to get myself 8 of these screws. And also some M3 washers, which I know I've got here somewhere. And we're going to need 4. So now the first screw goes all the way through the body and hopefully out the other side. Helps if you use the right size Allen key. Now I've just done that to the point where the Allen key gets a little bit sharp, like a sharp stop. And now get a washer and an M3. That's just bitten into the threads on the motor side. That's gone tight, undo a half turn. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm pushing the filament through and I can see that the shaft on the back of the stepper is rotating, so I know that it's actually engaged. And I'm just doing by feel, just checking for where the tension, if you get it right, what you can do is you can actually pull on the filament just to hold the teeth engaged just enough so that it holds it in place and tight. So that's drive 1 done, and let's rinse and repeat for a little minute. Screw through. Screws come through there. Now it says here that the wires actually point up towards the tensioner. Hi, Keela. Had some minor technical difficulties, Keela. I can't get Chrome to work through OBS today. It's no big deal, it's just annoying. What it means is I can't show the manual while I'm doing the work. I thought it was awful nice of Steve on Modbot Stream to shout me out as streaming today. So tight and a half turn back. And where did I throw my filament? There I did. Again, checking that the drive's engaged, making sure the motor rotates with the filament path. Yep, there we go. And feeling that's pretty good tension-wise anyway. Tight. Double check that one. And done. Hi, Bill. Andrew, what do you mean harness numbers matched? At this point, it shouldn't really matter which I'm doing. What has to match? All these units are generic at this point. Oh no, I haven't put these into anything yet. Am I missing something? I'm just building the 4 units. Oh, my apologies. We may have some undoing to do's. I didn't see the labels on the motor wires, so I assumed they were all the same. Step 2. Load 2. Got lucky with this one. Step 3. Load 4. Gonna have to swap that out. Let's put that over to the left for a second and finish putting this together before I lose parts. Which I think I may have already put down a washer. Is that called out in the manual? Oh, it does say refer to the wiring guide. Why don't they just put a couple of lines here saying match this to this? Would make far more sense to me. Hey DDJ, I'm having similar problems with Ellie at the moment. I've got some green and red mesh loom coming to cover up the PTFE tubes and the wiring to keep it all nice and neat behind the printer. It's nice green that matches the parts of the turtle and the printer itself. And they've disappeared to Qatar again. So every time a shipment goes to Qatar, it's missing for months and months and months and months. This one was step 1 and load 1. So I got lucky with that one as well. Step 2, load 2. So let's just double check this. Load 4 and step 4. Not a fan of the washer thickness LDO I've used. It's very, very thin, and it's distorted from just that little bit of tension I put on it. Sorry, I'm just grabbing the filament from one of the other extruders. There we go. Now, I've told some of you guys privately that I'm on the Super Slicer beta, and I've not been exactly quiet about it in chat at various places. Some very, very cool stuff got shown to us, and there's no NDA in place, so I'm pretty sure there's no problem with me talking about it. But one of the Aussie guys who's also working on it, he's developed a display which shows you line widths that you should expect to get based on the settings that you've just put literally live into the settings. So it shows you a theoretical squish and a theoretical line width. That meshing is perfect. There's the one with the washer on it, so I didn't lose it. Bill, you missed me talking a few minutes before you arrived about teaching CAD yesterday. Fusion 360 classes, which is a big step forward for the school because they've been an inventor house for a long, long time. And it's a couple of years since I've taught CAD myself. But it was good fun because I couldn't remember how to do the process properly. Fusion had changed the interface just slightly. And between two students and myself, we worked out what we needed to do. And we're doing it two completely different ways. We got the same outcome. So let's double check this one more time. Load 3 and step 3. Step 4, load 4. Step 2, load 2, which means by power of elimination, step 1, load 1. Okay. Jumping back to the manual for a few moments. It's now talking about tie strapping the cables. I might leave the tie strapping until I'm ready to do the assembly because nobody wants to watch me play with tie straps. Not only that, I haven't decided which colors I want to put where yet, so that's of key importance to me. So, up to page 16, so that's all done. So now I'm going to open up the spoolers. Now, for those who joined the stream late, I was explaining at the beginning of the stream that I'd had some problems with my V2. I'm using it for beta testing some hardware, and the beta software has basically taken it offline for now. So I'm left without that printer, and I had to use my V0. My V0 then proceeded to kill the CAN board mount and not work. So I had to reinstall Clipper and reinstall a new CAN board mount. It was fun and games yesterday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bearings, 4 shafts, 4 big gears, 4 little gears, the pressy tool, the other tool, and parts. Okay, now I was originally intending to print all of this in the gray, but the dog ate my homework. Seriously, the dog took the half-finished spool of filament and dragged it all around the garden on me, so it's gone. And I'm left with just the green. So when I came to print the parts, all I could do was the green. Fortunately for me, these parts aren't seen anyway, so that's not going to matter. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to do 2 in green, 2 in gray, and you guys in chat can help me decide whether I'm going to have the gray on the inside or the green on the inside, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying. Bit of a bummer about Super Slicer because I signed up for the alpha and beta in November and they never got back to me. Brent, don't stress it. It's been a roller coaster. It really has. They are looking for more people, but that will be for the 2.8. What we're doing at the moment is we're getting 2.7 out the door. Oh, Bill, don't throw more into the mix. We're going to get 2.7 out of the door, which is basically bringing it all up to date and a few little easy to throw in new features to try and entice people back. And then all the new features, all the cool stuff that's still sitting there waiting to be added because it's new, that's going to come in 2.8. And they're going to need a lot more testers for 2.8 because of all the new stuff. One of the reasons they kind of put pause on the recruiting was that they found that this particular group of testers is all working so well together, and they just didn't want to add any more to the mix in case it upset the balance that was going on, because there's a bunch of really technical guys, there's a bunch of heavy printing guys, and it's just meshing together that everybody's finding the bugs simply and easily and able to explain them well. So yeah, don't stress about that. If they start advertising for new recruits, I'll keep you in mind and I'll send you a message. So yeah, and that's the other thing, Bill. Between the Super Slicer stuff I'm doing and the hardware manufacturer stuff I'm testing, and teaching, and looking after 2 very small children, I'm not sleeping. But yeah, I will definitely keep you in mind, Brent. So first thing we need to do is break off the print in place supports, which is super clean and super easy on these parts. Why can't they be this easy on the others is my question. Pop, pop. Bill, I was having a chat with the head of department at the school I'm working with at the moment about them switching to Lightburn, but he's in love with Ruby, and he's the one who's going to be using it the most, so I kind of have to go with it. But I have been saying, come on, look at Lightburn. It's better. It's just better. ADDJ, your prayers have been answered. Well, at least one way. So just bringing up the manual so I can refresh myself again. Lots and lots and lots of heat sets. So I'm going to get the pressing tools out of the way for a second and all these gears. Warm the soldering iron up while we're doing this. looks like I need to grab some more parts. Now I know I've printed these parts, I've seen them. One, two, three, four. So let's have a quick look. Soldering iron is warming, and basically it's stuff. One each there, one on each side there, one in the back. So these are the halves of a pair. Heatsert there and there. Heatsert insert there and there. And one into here. So many heat inserts. I'm getting there with that sort of stuff, Bill. I've just got a little bit out of control, and with everything that's been going so crazy for the last week or so, I just haven't been able to get the organization quite back where I want it to. What I want to do is I've got 3 spare shelves in one of my cupboards, and just want to get matching containers that I can label for projects, even if I just write in whiteboard marker on the side of them. What's in each project box, and then I can just put them away. It means it's going to be easier to hide stuff when it comes to testing as well. Because I realized just before stream that, oh crap, I have beta gear sitting right on top of the V2 behind me. Nobody's really in control, except maybe Steve. Steve's probably close. If you only knew. Oh, it seems to some of the veneer seems to have peeled back a little bit with the build he's doing with Daniel at the moment, because they're constantly blaming each other. That part's missing. No, that part's missing. It's all your fault. No, I ordered that. No, you ordered that. But the very obvious friendship and banter going on between them has been pretty good to watch. Something's always going to be in the other garage, though. I just wish I had the cash available to be able to have 2 garages full of stuff. At the moment, we've got 1 garage with 1 car, because that's all we really need for how we live. And, well, it's a 2.5 car garage. The rest of it's full of kids' stuff. Bikes and toys. Okay, so next is these. Now, just like with the wires, if you guys see me doing anything stupid, let me know. I know it doesn't make any difference which one I do first, but if I keep the orientation the same, I don't lose track. Actually, before I do that, for those wondering what I'm using, it's a drawer handle. When I got all the cabinetry done in here, there was a pack of handles that came that was corroded. So the supplier replaced them, but he didn't want the old ones back. He's like, dump them, I don't need them. So I kept them for things like this. And what I'm thinking about doing is having this as a rail here, maybe machining a couple of dents into it, so I can just leave the soldering iron on it. That's like this room, Bill. Bill's just saying that Steve hides all his rubbish off set and everything else is a mess. I'm pretty sure Keela probably would say the same about the way they set theirs up too. The little part of the room you can see in camera is all tidy, but the rest is somewhat messy. My wife walked into the workshop yesterday afternoon because I was being delinquent when I should have been looking after the kids. And she's like, what kind of mess is this? So after stream today, I've got some tidying up to do. Okay, just quickly checking back that I've got all of these. Both sides, underneath, and just those last 4 to do. That might work quite nicely. Now it's not going to be super rigid, but it just means I'm not working with so many curved surfaces. Please let me know if I'm talking too quietly. Some people complained last week I was too quiet and some said I was too noisy, so. Now for those playing along at home who haven't built one of these yet, the geometry on these parts means that these are actually going into some very, very small pieces of walls of plastic. And I think as much as it was all right in theory idea to press onto the bar, while I was teaching the CAD class yesterday, I was multitasking in the print lab that they have. And I set up one of their Creality K2s for them in preparation for getting their CFSs, which are on back order. Are they an amazing machine? No. Are they as bad as everybody keeps telling people? No. Would I buy one for myself? Probably not, but I'm not the market it's for. And I reckon that actually for a school, they are a really solid option because they're locked down enough. Hi, Nick. But they're not so locked down that you can't get to Clipper. There is a full fluid interface if you know what port number to go hunting on. And the very minor niggles to do with the Z offset, I was able to finesse in the fluid interface. And yeah, from that point onwards, the first layers have been perfect. Now, we've got all our heat sets in place. So jumping back to the build guide. Oh, the wheels. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. 7 and 8. More heat sets by the looks of it. So I'm going to move these just behind me. So when I go hunting for them in a few moments and I can't find them, people just say, "Look behind you," like it's one of those British pantomimes. Now again, this has a super tight tolerance on the wall thickness. So I'm going to do this all by eye and hope. Press that. There we go. Has anybody got any recommendations of what to watch while Steve's away? Put the shaft in first, then you won't get plastic in the hole. Worth a try. This is going to be fun. I always catch Jeremy and Keela whenever I can. Nick. I don't think that they don't normally overlap with Steve's time slot. I'm trying to avoid the percussive persuasion. It looks like I might need to. Did I just do this too much? Probably. Bill was just saying to press it on a little bit to keep the plastic out of the hole, and I went gung-ho and fitted it. How hot? You know what, Bill? As much as I appreciate the suggestion, it's not really working for me. Fumey goodness. Can you see the smoke coming off my iron? Oh yeah, these sewing machines, Digital Dragon. Um, I actually have the same sewing machine here from my grandmother that she gave to my wife, and it's not like perfect condition. The certainly the mains power cord needs replacing for safety, but the rest of the machine is nearly perfect. It's got a little bit of wear and tear on the paint from legitimate use, but mechanically it's perfect. So I've said to Digital Dragon if he needs any photographs of parts to help reassembly, you can just let me know. That one's done, that one's done, that one's done. The mains cables that came with the original Singers were the old school fabric insulated, like kind of like some modern irons. And to be blunt, they're scary because over time the fabric always goes and the insulation inside always goes fragile. And it's anybody's guess whether the wires are going to touch each other or you. But I grew up in Leicester in the UK, where one of the Singer factories was. So my grandmother was able to buy hers direct from the factory outlet store back in 1947 or 1948. So it's possibly a slightly older design than Digital Dragons, but it should be very, very close mechanically. In fact, knowing how Singer used to work, it's possible that the designs were run out in the UK and then done in a US factory after that. I'm committing that sin of non-linear use of the heat sets. So where am I up to? Last one. 1, 2 in there. Oh, this one. This one. I knew it was a short one. During World War II, I had some kind of pseudo rubber that thin wrapped with fabric. Inner stuff broke down. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Bill. And this would have been a post-war austerity, so they would have been doing everything as inexpensively as they possibly could. Right, so that's all the heat sets into the hubs. Just going back to the manual. So I'm now on page 6 of the manual, and it's telling me to press in the ECAS into the centers of the drive. So where is my vice? Because that made life so much simpler the other day. You'll be relieved to know, Bill, that I sat down and thought to myself after the first stream, what would Bill Brothers do? And I'm like, he would not be hitting things with a big hammer in terms of inserting ECAS. He would get himself a bearing press. And I've got no need for a bearing press, but a bench vise was a very good idea. Who we've got? We've got new people in here. Hi, Rob C. Oh, Jeremy's back. So where was I? I was going for the... Now, because I've already covered this on stream a million times with taking the rubbers off the ECAS fittings, I've gone through and stripped all of the ECAS fittings of the little rubbers off stream, partially because I was bored. And when I get bored, I do silly things, so it was better to play with this. Wait a minute. Am I missing something? Ah, I am missing something. Screwdriver. I've got a setting in my super slicer at the moment which fills the holes for supports. Look how cleanly that breaks out. Tell me my printer isn't tuned. Oh, wait a minute. The box turtle people did. Not quite straight. There we go. Much better way to do it than hitting it with a big hammer. Jack, it's Sediment, which is an Australian supplier. I'll grab the spool in a moment and tell you exactly what he calls it. And it's definitely not a sparkle. The way Sid operates his business is he supplies big clients because his family is a manufacturer of filament. I believe it's done out of India. Definitely done out of Asia, but whether it's India or not, I can't tell for sure. And then he sells off any run extras. So if the client orders, say, 1,000 spools, they'll probably make 1,050. And then he sells off the extras to us, which is awesome. Okay. I'm leaving that one on the floor. It can stay there. So a little bit tighter. Let's see if we can get this ECAS in without dropping this one on the floor. No, can't manage it. Might as well grab this other one now I can see where it went. Well, Bill, the reason your toy fund is getting small is because you're spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a mill. I'm sure most of us would be in that situation if we were spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a mill. Sorry, I've disappeared off screen. I'm just grabbing this filament for Jack because it's still in my V0. Oh, it's just sediment green. That way. Now, I know it's not very environmental to have plastic spools, but in Australia, where the vast majority of the country is very humid, where people are actually going to be using 3D printing, having cardboard spools which suck up environmental moisture, it just, yeah, it's not working. It's not compatible. And where possible, we do try and recycle the spools. In fact, because these spools are marked with the material they're made of using an official logo, I can put them straight in my recycling bin. And I know it works because my wife's just finished auditing a recycling company for her work. So they said it's definitely recyclable. No, it's 1.75, Andrew. I'm just checking the instructions for my own peace of mind. Okay, so now I need the 6x3 magnets. If the magnet is a loose fit, use a drop of super glue. I really don't think I'm going to have that issue. Everything's been a slightly tight fit so far. How do you find the magnets? You find the one that's sticking to everything else. So I'm now going to need the triggers. 1, 2, 3, 4. make sure that when they installed, they attract each other. Okay, I can do that. What is going on with me? I am not normally this ham-fisted, but I probably am is very tired. Yeah, it's roughly what I paid Jack. I couldn't afford to buy proper Nipex at the moment. Okay, maybe I am going to need some super glue, which I don't have any of, but we'll try another part. Yeah, one of the big things about living outside the US is the tools we have available to us are a lot more limited in most cases. That magnet stayed. Sorry, off camera I was just double checking that I'd got the polarity of the magnet the right way. Two. I'm doing that first part one more time just in case a different magnet has a slightly different tolerance. And nope, just that part itself. Just wants to squeeze it out, so there must be a little bit of sprue or something in the bottom of the hole. Now, fortunately, I think I've got just enough left in the PTFE to reprint that one. just having a look in the hole to see if I can spot anything that might be causing the issue. Pop just pushes the magnet back out, like spontaneously. Did get a little piece of plastic out then, so I might just give it one more shot. I'm just going to leave that pressed in for a moment. Do I have some acetone? A few drips of acetone. I could try that. See how we go. Oh, there we go. Stuck this time. So where we're at is we've got all the magnets in the arms. We now need to insert the magnets into these parts. I'll just check which face it was on the manual. It's on the front face near the ECAS. One, two, three, four. And the best part about doing it that way, I can guarantee that they're set up to attach like they're supposed to be. So next page of the manual. I'm up to page 8 now for those following at home. Need some M310s and MR63 bearings. And 4 of the bearings. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an M38 by the looks of it. That's the button head screws for the wheels in a few moments. And 335s coming out of a bag that's associated with it, so I'll leave them there. 38. M38, more heat sets. M310. So on the drawing, screw goes in here. Bearing goes in the groove. Do not over tighten, do not strip the plastic. Makes perfect sense to me. No, that's the wrong size. And it just started to feel a little bit snug. Not tight, just started to feel like it didn't want to go any further. So screw, bearing, now while I've been doing this build series, I've been watching a bunch of friends from around Australia building their box turtles, and it's killing me. These guys are all getting to the point where they're now starting to be able to print reliably with them after a little bit of tuning. And I am being so patient so that I can do this with you guys. It's not normally my thing. When I built my V2, it was done in 19 hours. I may have a problem when it comes to that sort of stuff. Once I hyperfocus, I can't stop. I just fill myself with coffee and keep going until I'm done. 1, 2, 3, and 310 back in its bag so I don't lose it. Jeremy, have you decided what you're going to be doing after the 3D sets card's finished, or have you already finished it? Again, just to the point where it goes slightly snug but not tight. All those bearings are in place and feeling nice. Now it's another bearing and another, it's M38s this time. M38s. 4 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just comparing this to page 9 of the instruction guide. And the bearing sits flat against this face, and then an M38 goes through the middle and secures it to the plastic. Yeah, let's try and stay away from the politics other than from me being my stream saying, why the hell did Australia get caught up in all of this? For some reason, our steel is being taxed. Last time I checked, fentanyl wasn't coming from Australia. One thing's for certain, there's a guy here in Australia making a lot of cash with the stickers saying I bought it before we knew Elon was an asshole. It doesn't seem like people are attacking the cars here, at least. The UK, it seems like people are actually attacking private people's Teslas, and it's not their fault. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not what I was looking for. That is. Okay, so I'm now up to page 10, and I need 2 M3/8s per arm as presumably as pivot hinges. That's the 10s. So the instructions are calling for an M3/8 to be screwed in into each side of the part. And I have watched a couple of other people building these on streams and noticed that if they get these screws not true in the hole, it can lead to issues with it binding on the pivot point. So what I just did was I very slightly opened up the outer edge of the hole to help me get the screw started a little bit further into the plastic, so it's likely to go in more true and not cross-thread, or what would be cross-thread as it drives its own threads. Hi, bearded printer. Checking against the instructions again. Leave a 3.5mm gap. Where's my ruler? That's about a 4mm. So a half turn should give me what I need. One thing I've learned since I started teaching is kids these days are a lot more politically aware than I certainly was when I was a kid, and the vast majority of the people around me would have been. For the large part, most Australians consider politics to be a joke. We treat politicians largely with skepticism and contempt. We're basically picking not the one we like or the one we think is going to be awesome, but the one we dislike the least. And there's a lot less tribalism than we're seeing elsewhere in the world. That's not going in square, that's better. Now I'm just doing the 3.5mm by eye. basing on the fact that a little over half of the screw has disappeared into the thread of the screw has disappeared into the hole. So 4 arms all with the screws as pivot points, putting these M3/8s back in the bag so I don't lose them. And next page is page 11. And now we need to start pressing gears onto shafts. I have to say that I'm a little disappointed with the LDO batch 2 not having fixed the... I blame you for this, Bill. I'm a little disappointed that LDO carried on with batch 2 and not fixed the preload on the sizes for the gears. There we go. So that and that. And the rim goes to the bottom. Now, I'm very aware that when my printer lays the first layer down, I do get a little bit of elephant's foot. So stripping out the inside of the holes just slightly to get the shaft in is going to be a good idea. For those wondering, this is just a deburring tool, not a very good AliExpress one at that. Now I have a feeling that this shaft is going to be ever so slightly too long for my bias. Might get away with it. It's probably 2 millimeters too narrow. Go a bit harder with a deburring tool. Hammer time. I'm trying not to use percussive persuasion. It's not very good. What I will do though is rather than deafen you guys, I will mute you for this. That's making no progress at all on this bench. I'm going to swap. Yeah, it didn't split. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for all of you. What that means is I'm definitely going to be able to shave a little bit more out of here. 1, 2, 3. Now I'll mute you again this time just so you don't have to put up with that noise. All right, I'm back on the audio. It's not tracking for a moment. There we go, tracking's back. So the ones I gave a little bit more love to with the deburring tool went in a lot easier. They all seem to be matching, so I'm pretty happy that made it all the way to the bottom of the tool. Get rid of this, bring back this. Next. Now we need to put the spacers on, which go against the back of the gear. My Apple Watch is telling me I'm too noisy. Sorry. There we go. So back to the manual. So we've got I'm on page 12. I've got the sleeves on, moving on to page 13. And now I need to get the motors and the little motor jig and press the gears on. Now, some people have told me that the LDO gears will probably fit, but that I'm better off using the printed ones anyway. Has anybody got any input on that? Okay, if people are still reporting there might be issues, then I think I'm going to go with the printed. One, two, three, and four, because I can't possibly do anything without dropping something on the floor. Now, I know that there's a suggestion to grease these just ever so slightly. Is my greasing screwdriver gone? It's gone walkabouts. I probably dropped it like everything else. Let's just go with an old piece of filament that was on my bench. You guys can't see it because it's just off frame. I've got one of the little grease guns like Alan Mendick recommends. And you can actually hear it as there's a very slight difference in the tone once the gears are fully greased. It's nice. It goes from a kind of high noise to just a little bit dulled. That's all done. Throw that away so I don't make a mess with it. Bill says it's easy to test, so that's what I'm going to do. And it goes that way. So what I'm doing at the moment is just checking, because it's a D-cut shaft. I'm just checking for which way it aligns. I fear I may have a slight adjustment to do on my whole interiors in Super Slicer. That's actually starting to work its way on. I think what I'm dealing with here is just a very small lip on the top of the decut in the plastic. I'm just grabbing a drill bit. I'm just going to take a little tiny piece of plastic out on the top of the extrusion. No, that's not fitting how I hope it would. What I'm doing is I'm going to try the LDO gears. If I can find them. I've got the LDO big gears. Small gear. And they are going on, well, the first one went on exactly as I would expect it to. It's a firm finger tight for reference. You can adjust it with your fingers, but it's not comfortable to do, if that makes sense. And what I'll do before next stream is I'll print another set of the ABS gears, just in case we have any difficulties. Bill, I'd actually even be fine if these was ever so slightly loose, because the way they mesh, for those who don't realize, there's a kind of a shovel to it, so the gears can't really slide that laterally with each other. They're forced to stay in mesh by the shape of the gear itself, the tooth. So as long as there's no slop in it, it should be fine. Okay, now I have approximately 5 minutes left, so I don't think I'm going to get any more done at this point. I've got family stuff I have to deal with again this week. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did say that towards the end of the month, I might not be able to do the last Thursday of the month. That has changed, and I can complete the whole build series week by week. So that's very good news. The school I was dealing with, they'd mucked up some of the dates they told me. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it at this point. We're ready to install the motors into the respooler drives. which from what I'm told is basically just a case of lining them up and pressing them in, as long as the plate goes between the two lips. Oh, I could probably manage this just for a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good night, Jack, and hopefully I will be able to see you next week. Everybody is more than welcome at any time on my streams. If you cruise in and out, that's all good by me. But please do tell your friends, like, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff for me, because I would like to get to the point where I can monetize the channel and have a little bit of dollars coming in to help pay for new projects. So with that, we've got our motors attached, we've got our shafts all assembled, we've got our arms ready to go. So the next part of the build will be putting together the spoolers, and hopefully we're going to start be able to mount all of this gear that we've been putting together as individual modules into the main body. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask me about what we're up to and where we're going? Night, Nick. Doesn't look like there's any questions coming in. So with that, I am the Down Under Maker, and I'm going to hop on out of here.